Tony Wilson is here with us, and what have you noticed in the parliamentary area this week? A lot of mud being thrown around. Have you seen that?
Yes. I guess we've eased up a bit in terms of the Brian Burke obsession and who's seeing who. The Porn King story was interesting.
That was great.
With John Howard in a meeting with a guy who I think ended up being an alleged torturer or an actual torturer. That's the big question. But Howard will get out of that one because of the fact that he didn't know, it wasn't on the invite list, that guy. Yeah. Snuck through the door, lied about his age and star sign, and got through the door bitch and ended up there.
But we just love, John Howard standing up in Parliament going, anyone over there, anyone here who is morally compromised, and then from behind him, just the sounds of chairs being pushed back.
I like the guy who's in a bit of trouble, which is Santo Santoro.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a senator reminds me of the bit in Catch-22 when Major, he'd been named meanly, Major by his father as a joke, and then he got promoted as a joke to the rank of Major in the army.
Just so that he could be Major.
Well, I reckon the same thing's happened with Santo Santoro, that he's become Senator Santo Santoro because Australia needed that in terms of alliteration.
But what about Kevin Rudd? I mean, I'm still not sure about the bloke, Tony, I have to say. Peter Costello is presenting some pretty compelling evidence.
Well, he certainly... Peter Costello basically said that Rudd deserves to have mud thrown over him because Rudd took an interest in whether or not the Prime Minister was tipping off a nuclear consortium. So basically you can throw mud at the opposition leader personally, even if you've got... I don't know what I'm talking about. I think I'm on a rant.
You're on a rant? You've come to the right program, don't worry, because we have some evidence from Peter Costello that might back up these claims. This was Costello on the Sunday program last weekend.
So back in 1996, of course, you'd had less experience in Parliament than Kevin Rudd has got now. He's had experience in government, you'd had none. And if you mentioned Alexander Downer, then people would have laughed nervously.
Look, I think the only reason that people will be laughing nervously, Laurie, is the knowledge that Kevin Rudd is perhaps going to leap out of the crawl space in their house tonight and slaughter them in their sleep. And I mean, this is pretty typical. I mean, you look at the kind of people that he hangs out with. Brian Burke, Tony Mockbell. Who's to say, Laurie, he's not going to, attempt to strangle you tonight? Obviously, it's a big job, but he's got, his minions, and Snowden being one of them. Keep your head down, Laurie. That's all I'd say to you.
Well, let's talk about the economy first. Is the ageing of the population still the central problem for you?
Well, I don't think we're going to ever achieve an ageing population if they keep being slaughtered in their sleep by Kevin Rudd.
So we need more measures to encourage superannuation? Is that the key thing?
Look, I think we need to encourage people to stay in their homes. When you've got Rudd and his scimitar of death, as he calls it, lopping the heads of school children and pensioners and calling it policy, Laurie, what hope is there for anybody?
Now, how ruthless will the Expenditure Review Committee, the Razor Gang, be in wielding the razor?
Well, Laurie, Rudd's Razor Gang are pretty ruthless. I mean, you've probably seen the musical Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Rudd, I think that was originally called, and for good reason.
But don't the punters hate this kind of personal stuff?
As I understand it, what the punters don't like is someone who's known to be a follower of Pol Pot. In fact, an inspiration for the entire Khmer Rouge experiment. Someone who's, as I understand it, has actively trained a squadron of giant bats which are going to swoop down the second that Kevin Rudd takes power, and God forbid that should ever happen, and steal the souls of our school children and sell them on the internet to people peddling amphetamines, to Haitian dictators and the people of that ilk. I mean, is that who you want running the economy?
I mean, wouldn't they prefer it if the government got back to running the country instead of hurling mud?
Laurie, I think they'd probably prefer to have some soft mud hurled about than, say, a spear which hits them just at the base of the cerebral cortex, rendering them paralysed, which is pretty much Kevin Rudd's way of saying hello to a pensioner. That's what I'm told.
A final question. Kelvin Thompson's resigned from the front bench. do you accept that what he did was just a stupid mistake?
Well, Laurie, I mean, if you want to call writing a reference for Tony Mockbell, along with, as I'm told, the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, and writing that reference in blood, which has been siphoned from the bodies of helpless, defenceless pensioners, if you think that's, as you say, a stupid mistake, then fine, good luck to you. But consider this. Who was holding the pen? You know, was it Kelvin Thompson or was it Kevin Rudd? I've seen no footage to suggest that Kevin Rudd wasn't there signing the reference for Mockbell with one hand and turning a spit with a poor Down syndrome kitty just revolving slowly over some flames right there in Kelvin Thompson's electoral office. I mean, it's a terrifying picture. I mean, is that who you want running the country?
Mr. Costello, we thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. And can I just say, in future, I'd prefer a few less questions about Kevin Rudd. I think there are more important matters.
Some disturbing imagery there. I'm sorry about that, Tony.
And of course, as Peter Costello said, they started it.